I stood on my daughter's porch holding a bakery box with her favorite lemon cake, listening to laughter inside. Father's Day. I knocked 3 times before the door swung open. My son-in-law Derek filled the doorway, arms crossed. "There's no place for you here," he said, voice flat. Behind him, I saw my daughter Jennifer turn away. He grabbed a plastic plate from somewhere, scraped cold mashed potatoes and congealed gravy onto it, and set it on the porch floor like I was a stray dog. I left the cake. I left everything. My hands shook as I walked down the driveway, still clutching that bakery box. The late afternoon sun felt too bright, too warm for what had just happened. I fumbled with my truck keys, dropped them twice before I could unlock the door. When I finally climbed inside, I just sat there, engine off, staring at nothing. Through the front window of Jennifer's house, I could see movement, shapes passing back and forth. Then I saw them clearly. Derek had his arm around Jennifer. She was laughing, actually laughing, hugging him back. My stomach turned over. She wasn't being forced. She wasn't uncomfortable. She was part of it. Part of whatever that humiliation had been. I started the engine, pulled away before I could see anymore. My chest felt tight, like someone had wrapped steel bands around my ribs and kept twisting. I raised Jennifer alone after her mother died. Jennifer was 12 when Susan passed. Cancer took her in 6 brutal months. I worked double shifts at the manufacturing plant for 18 years after that. Day shift, then night shift, sleeping 4 hours between, just to keep food on the table and save for Jennifer's college fund. I drove through town on autopilot, past the old hardware store where I used to take Jennifer to pick out paint colors for her bedroom, past the diner where we had milkshakes every Friday after school, past the community center where she performed in the spring musical her junior year. I paid for every costume, every ticket, every moment of joy I could give her. And 2 years ago, I paid for her wedding. $28,000 for a beautiful ceremony at the Riverside Country Club, white roses everywhere, a string quartet, a cake that cost more than my monthly mortgage. I didn't care about the money. Jennifer was radiant that day. Derek seemed charming then, attentive. He called me sir, shook my hand firmly, thanked me for raising such an amazing woman. When did it change? I thought back over the past year. The phone calls from Jennifer had gotten shorter, more distant. When I called her, she sounded distracted, always in the middle of something. The last 3 times I'd driven over to visit, Derek had made excuses. They were about to head out. They had friends coming over. The house was being fumigated. Always something. And Jennifer never contradicted him. She just stood there, looking nervous, uncomfortable, agreeing with whatever Derek said. I pulled into my driveway as the sun started setting. My house is a small 3-bedroom ranch, nothing fancy, but the mortgage was paid off 5 years ago. Susan's garden still grows in the backyard. I maintain it myself, even though I'm 67 and my knees complain. Roses, tomatoes, herbs. Susan loved that garden. I sat in the truck for a long time, trying to make sense of what happened. Why would Jennifer do that to me? On Father's Day, of all days. What had I done wrong? Then I saw it. An envelope taped to my front door. My legs felt unsteady as I walked up the path. The envelope was large, manila-colored, official-looking. My name was typed on the front, Edgar Sullivan. I tore it open right there on the porch. Legal documents spilled out, pages and pages of them, official seals, court stamps. I flipped through them, words jumping out at me. Plaintiff, defendant, breach of contract, unpaid loans. Derek was suing me. According to these papers, I had borrowed $65,000 from Derek and Jennifer over the past 2 years. The documents listed dates, amounts, payment schedules. They claimed I had defaulted on every payment. They were demanding full repayment plus interest. The total came to $72,000. The court date was in 3 weeks. I read the pages 3 times, my hands shaking harder with each pass. I never borrowed a penny from them. Not $1, not ever. I've been financially independent my entire life. Susan and I were careful with money. We saved. We planned. When she died, I inherited a small piece of land from her family in the next county. I sold it 3 years ago for $85,000, put every cent in savings for retirement. But these documents looked real. They had case numbers, filing dates, a lawyer's signature at the bottom. I stumbled inside, turned on every light in the house. My files are kept in the spare bedroom, organized in a metal filing cabinet. 32 years of working quality control taught me to be meticulous. Every bank statement, every receipt, every canceled check, filed by year and month. I pulled out 2 years' worth of statements and spread them across the bed, started going through them line by line. There was nothing. No large withdrawals, no checks made out to Derek or Jennifer. No evidence of any loans. But as dawn broke and I was still searching, I found something that made my blood run cold. 6 months of bank statements were missing. January through June of last year. The files were empty. I always kept everything. I never threw statements away. I tried logging into my online banking to print replacements. My password didn't work. I tried the backup password. Also rejected. The account was locked. I was at First National Bank when they opened at 9. I hadn't slept, hadn't eaten, hadn't changed clothes. The bank sat on the corner of Main and Oak, a solid brick building that had been there since 1946. I'd had my account there for 39 years. Patricia was behind the counter, a woman in her 50s who'd worked as a teller for over 20 years. We'd chatted countless times about her kids, her grandchildren, the weather. But when she saw me walk in, her face changed. She looked uncomfortable, wouldn't make eye contact. "Morning, Patricia. I need to talk to someone about my account. There's been some kind of problem." She hesitated. "Let me get the manager, Mr. Sullivan." The way she said my name, so formal, so distant, sent a chill through me. She disappeared into the back office. 5 minutes later, she returned with Gerald Murphy, the branch manager. He gestured for me to follow him to a private office. The office smelled like coffee and paper. A painting of the old mill hung on one wall. Gerald sat behind his desk, hands folded, expression carefully neutral. "Mr. Sullivan, what can I help you with today? I tried to access my online banking. My password isn't working, and I'm missing bank statements. I need copies of everything from January through June of last year." Gerald's jaw tightened. He turned to his computer, typed for a moment, then his face grew more serious. "Mr. Sullivan, there have been some irregularities with your account." "What kind of irregularities?" He turned the monitor so I could see it. 6 large withdrawals over the past 8 months, totaling $68,000. All transferred to an account held jointly by Jennifer Sullivan and Derek Morrison. Each transfer has a memo line that reads loan repayment. The room tilted. I gripped the armrests of my chair. I never made those transfers. I never authorized them. Gerald looked pained. "The transfers came from your online banking account, from your computer's IP address. They were authorized with your login credentials. Someone must have stolen my information. This is fraud. You need to reverse those transactions." "Mr. Sullivan." Gerald's voice dropped. "Derek Morrison came in here last week. He showed us the lawsuit documents. He said you might come in claiming the transfers were fraudulent. He warned us you might try to deny the debt." My mind raced back. Derek had helped me set up online banking last Christmas. He'd come over with his laptop, said it would be easier for me to manage my money digitally. He'd set everything up, created my passwords, written them down on a piece of paper for me. I'd thought he was being helpful. He'd kept my information. He'd made those transfers himself, stolen my money, and made it look like I'd repaid loans I never received. "Gerald, I'm telling you, this is fraud. Derek has stolen from me." Gerald pulled out a folder. "These are copies of loan agreements. Your signature is on every one, notarized, dated, legal." He slid the papers across the desk. I stared at my signature on 6 different documents. The handwriting looked exactly like mine. But I'd never signed these papers. I'd never even seen them before. "This is forgery," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "Mr. Sullivan, I want to believe you. But we have documentation. Notarized documents, electronic transfers from your account. We can't just reverse transactions based on a claim." I left the bank in a daze, drove home, went straight to my computer, opened my online banking, finally managed to get a temporary password reset by calling customer service and answering security questions. When I logged in, I thought I might vomit. My savings account showed a balance of $4,218. I'd had over $80,000 in that account a year ago. $76,000 was gone. But it was worse than that. I clicked through to my other accounts. My home equity line of credit had been opened. I didn't remember opening it. The balance showed $50,000 borrowed. Against my house. The house I'd paid off. The house that was supposed to be my security forever. I pulled up the loan documents from the bank's website. There was my signature, notarized 3 months ago. I'd never signed anything. I'd never been to a notary. I called the credit union that held the home equity loan. Explained the situation. The representative was sympathetic but firm. They had signed, notarized documents. The money had been dispersed. The loan was valid. But I didn't sign for this loan, I said, hearing the desperation in my voice. Sir, your signature is on file. If you believe this is fraud, you'll need to file a police report and pursue it through the courts. I hung up, sat staring at the screen. Derek had systematically drained my accounts, forged documents, taken out loans against my house, set up a paper trail that made it look like I was a debtor who owed him money. And now my house was at risk. If I couldn't make payments on that home equity loan, the bank could foreclose. He was trying to take everything from me, my money, my house, my dignity, my daughter. The lawsuit wasn't about recovering money I owed. It was about finishing me off, forcing me into bankruptcy, maybe even homelessness. And I had no proof any of it was fraud. Just my word against documents that looked legitimate. I buried my face in my hands and tried not to cry. I couldn't fight this alone. I needed help. Someone who knew me, who could vouch for my character, who could stand beside me and tell the truth. My younger brother Calvin was the first person I thought of. We'd been close our whole lives. He was a high school teacher in the next county, taught history and civics, rational and trustworthy. Calvin would believe me. Calvin would help. I drove 40 minutes through rolling hills and farmland to reach his town, past the old covered bridge near the county line, the one we'd played under as kids. Calvin lived in a brick colonial on a tree-lined street, the kind of neighborhood where people waved to each other and kids rode bikes. His wife Amy answered the door. Her face was cold when she saw me. Not surprised, not welcoming, cold. Edgar, what are you doing here? I need to talk to Calvin. It's important. Calvin doesn't want to see you. Amy, please, I need his help. Something terrible has happened. She started to close the door. I caught it, not aggressively, just desperate. Please, just 5 minutes. She looked at me with something like pity, mixed with disgust. Wait here. She disappeared inside. I stood on the porch, heart pounding. A minute later, Calvin appeared. My brother, my friend. The person who knew me better than almost anyone. His face was hard, angry. What do you want, Edgar? Calvin, Derek is suing me. He's claiming I borrowed money from him and Jennifer, but it's a lie. He's been stealing from me, forging documents. I need your help. I need you to tell the court what kind of person I am. Calvin crossed his arms. I know what kind of person you've become. Derek called me 3 days ago. He told me everything. My stomach dropped. Told you what? About your gambling problem. About how you've been throwing away your retirement at the casino boat on the river. About how you borrowed money from Jennifer to cover your debts, and now you're lying about it. Planning to sue them. Trying to destroy your own daughter. That's not true. None of that is true. I don't gamble, Calvin. You know me. I thought I did. Derek showed me photos. You at the casino. Multiple times. He has receipts. Evidence. He's lying. He's manipulating you. Calvin's face reddened. Derek has been nothing but good to Jennifer. He called me because he's worried about you. He said you need help, but instead of getting it, you're attacking them. He showed me the loan agreements. Your signature is right there. Those signatures are forged. Calvin, please. You have to believe me. I believe the evidence. I believe a man who cares enough about his father-in-law to try and help him. You need to stop lying, Edgar. You need to get help. Gamblers Anonymous. Therapy. Something. But don't come here asking me to help you defraud your own daughter. Calvin, I'm your brother, and Jennifer is your daughter, but that didn't stop you from stealing from her, did it? He stepped back inside and closed the door. I stood there, stunned, until I heard the lock click. I drove to see Thomas next. My best friend for 40 years. We'd worked together at the plant, retired the same year, spent countless evenings fishing at the lake. Thomas lived in a small apartment near the industrial park. I had a key. We were that close. I let myself in, made coffee in his kitchen while I waited. The apartment was neat, sparse. the home of a man who lived simply and didn't need much. Photos of his grandchildren covered the refrigerator. An hour later, I heard his key in the lock. He walked in, saw me sitting at his table, and his face fell. "Edgar, I was hoping you wouldn't come here. Thomas, I need you to listen to me. I already know what you're going to say. Derek came to see me yesterday, showed me everything. The lawsuit, the bank records, those loan agreements with your signature. He's lying. He forged those documents." Thomas sat down heavily across from me. He was 71, weathered and tired, a man who'd worked with his hands his whole life and trusted what he could see and touch. He said, "You might come begging for money, or asking me to lie for you in court. I'm not asking you to lie. I'm asking you to tell the truth. You know me. You know I wouldn't steal from my own daughter." Thomas pulled out a folder from his bag. Copies of documents. Derek had given them to him, prepared him for this moment. "I see your signature here. 6 times. These look real to me, Edgar. I don't understand financial fraud. I don't understand computers or identity theft, but I understand a man's signature. And this is yours." "Thomas, those aren't mine." "Then whose are they? You think Derek is some kind of criminal mastermind? He's a young man trying to take care of his wife, your daughter, and you've put them in a terrible position. He's destroying me. Can't you see that?" Thomas stood up. "I think you need to leave. Our friendship has meant everything to me, but I can't be part of helping you hurt Jennifer. I'm sorry." I drove home with tears blurring my vision. Everyone believed Derek. Everyone thought I was the villain. When I pulled into my driveway, my neighbor Helen was standing at her mailbox. She was 78, a widow who'd lived next door for 30 years. We'd helped each other through hard times, shoveled each other's driveways, watered each other's gardens. She saw me and her face tightened with fear. I walked over. "Helen, are you okay?" She took a step back. "Edgar, I don't want any trouble." "What are you talking about?" "2 men came to my house this morning. They said they were investigators, working for a law firm. They asked me questions about you. If I'd ever seen you gambling, drinking, acting strange. If you'd ever borrowed money from me. They said you were involved in a lawsuit. They implied you were dangerous." My hands clenched into fists. "Helen, I'm not dangerous. Those men were lying. I don't know what to believe anymore, Edgar. They seemed very official. They had badges. Did you see the names on the badges?" I don't remember. I was nervous." "Helen, I'm being set up. My son-in-law is trying to destroy my reputation. Those men were probably working for him." She looked at me with such sadness. "I think you should go, Edgar. I need to go inside." She hurried into her house and locked the door. Derek had poisoned everyone against me. My brother, my best friend, my neighbor, anyone who might have helped me, anyone who might have vouched for my character, had been systematically turned against me with lies and manufactured evidence. I was completely alone. I didn't sleep that night, or the next, or the one after that. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those documents. My forged signature, the emptied bank accounts, Derek's smug face, Jennifer turning away from me. The court date was in 17 days now. I had no lawyer, no money to hire one, no witnesses, no allies. Just a pile of papers that proved I was a liar and a thief. It was 5 in the morning on the 4th day after Father's Day when the pain hit. I was sitting at my kitchen table, surrounded by documents, trying one more time to find something, anything, that would prove the fraud. Bank statements spread across the surface, loan papers, printouts from the credit union, my desperate notes scrawled in the margins. Then my chest exploded. The pain was like nothing I'd ever felt. White-hot pressure radiating from my sternum down my left arm. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The room spun. Heart attack. I tried to stand, fell back into the chair, managed to grab my phone from the table, dialed 911 with shaking fingers, gave my address to the dispatcher in gasping words. Then everything went gray around the edges. I came to with someone shaking my shoulder, a young man, maybe 30, wearing a paramedic uniform. His name tag said Scott. "Sir, can you hear me? We're going to help you." Behind him, an older woman, maybe 50, was opening a medical kit. Her name tag said Diane. They moved fast. Blood pressure cuff, oxygen mask, IV line, questions I could barely answer. Then I was on a gurney, being wheeled out of my house, loaded into an ambulance. The siren screamed as we raced through the early morning streets. Emergency room, bright lights. Medical staff in scrubs moving around me. Voices calm but urgent. Someone cut my shirt off, cold gel on my chest. Electrodes, the beeping of monitors. A doctor leaned over me, gray hair, kind eyes, a name tag that read Dr. Brennan. "Mr. Sullivan, you've had a heart attack. We're stabilizing you now. You're going to be okay, but we need to keep you here for observation. Possibly do some procedures." I tried to speak, but the oxygen mask muffled my words. "Don't talk. Just rest. We've got you." They moved me to a room eventually. 4th floor. Pale green walls. A window overlooking the parking lot. Monitors beeping steadily. An IV drip in my arm. Dr. Brennan came back later that morning. Pulled up a chair beside my bed. "Your heart has sustained moderate damage, Mr. Sullivan. The attack was stress-induced. Your arteries show some blockage, but nothing immediately life-threatening if we manage it properly. You need rest. Medication. Absolutely no stress." I almost laughed. No stress. While Derek was destroying my life and I had a court date in 16 days. How long do I have to stay here? At least 3 days. Maybe longer, depending on how you respond to treatment. I can't afford this. I don't have insurance beyond Medicare. Dr. Brennan's expression grew sympathetic. "We'll work with you on payment. Right now, focus on recovery." After he left, I lay there staring at the ceiling. The financial pressure was crushing me as much as the physical pain. This hospital stay would cost thousands. Money I didn't have. Money Derek had stolen. On the second day, Jennifer walked in. My heart, damaged as it was, leaped. Maybe she'd come to help, to apologize, to explain. Maybe she'd realized what Derek was doing. But when I saw her face, cold and distant, hope died. She'd changed, lost weight. Her hair was different, shorter, styled expensively. She wore clothes I didn't recognize, designer labels, nothing like what she used to wear. Her expression was hard, unfamiliar. "Jennifer." My voice came out weak. She stood at the foot of my bed, arms crossed. "Derek said you'd probably end up here. Stress from your guilty conscience," he said. "Jennifer, please. You have to listen to me." "No, you need to listen. Derek is being generous. He could press for the full amount you owe, plus damages, plus legal fees. But he's willing to settle. All you have to do is sign the house over as collateral. He'll drop the criminal fraud charges he's planning to file." "Criminal charges? You forged documents to steal from our accounts. That's fraud. That's jail time, Dad. But Derek doesn't want to see you in prison. He just wants what you owe us." The words hit harder than the heart attack. "Jennifer, I never stole from you. Derek is the one who's been stealing. From me. He's been forging documents, draining my accounts, framing me." Her face didn't change. No flicker of doubt. No sympathy. "Stop lying. Derek showed me everything. The casino receipts, the loan agreements with your signature. You borrowed money to feed your gambling addiction, and now you can't pay it back. So you're making up stories about him." "I don't gamble. I've never been to a casino. Those receipts are fake. I saw the photos, Dad. You, at the casino, multiple dates." My mind raced. Photos could be doctored. Or maybe Derek had hired someone who looked like me, or taken photos of me somewhere else and claimed they were from the casino. There were 100 ways to fake evidence. "Jennifer, why would I do this? Why would I steal from you? I love you. I've given you everything." For just a moment, her face flickered. Something like sadness or fear passed through her eyes. Then it hardened again. "You were never there when it mattered. When Mom was dying, you were always at work. When I needed you growing up, you were exhausted, sleeping, unavailable. Derek is here for me. Derek is all I have." She turned to leave. "Jennifer, please." She paused at the door, didn't look back. "Sign the house over. That's the only way this ends without you going to prison." Then she was gone. I lay there, monitors beeping, feeling like my heart might break all over again. That evening, a hospital social worker came to see me. A woman in her 40s with tired eyes and a gentle voice. She told me my insurance wouldn't cover my full stay. I'd owe approximately $18,000. Then she told me something worse. While I'd been unconscious during the heart attack, a lien had been filed against me. Derek had filed paperwork with the county, claiming I owed him money. Now any assets I had, any insurance payouts, any future settlements, could be seized to pay the debt he claimed I owed. I was trapped, in a hospital bed, heart damaged, financially ruined, legally cornered. My own daughter turned against me. The heart monitor started beeping faster. Alarms. The social worker looked alarmed, called for a nurse. Dr. Brennan rushed in. My blood pressure was spiking. Stress. The very thing they'd told me to avoid. They sedated me. I drifted into darkness, wondering if this was how it would end. If Derek would finally win. They discharged me on the 4th day. I could barely afford the medications they prescribed. Heart pills, blood thinners, beta blockers. I paid with what little was left in my checking account and drove home in a daze. A foreclosure notice was taped to my front door. The home equity loan Derek had taken out in my name was in default. I had 45 days to bring it current, or the bank would begin foreclosure proceedings. The house Susan and I had bought 38 years ago. The house where we'd raised Jennifer. The house where Susan had died in our bedroom with me holding her hand. Derek was going to take it from me. I went inside, didn't bother turning on lights, just sat in my living room as the sun set and shadows filled the room. Looked at the photos on the mantel. Susan and me on our wedding day. Jennifer as a baby. Jennifer graduating high school. Jennifer in her wedding dress, smiling at the camera, Derek beside her with that charming grin. When had it all gone so wrong? I thought about giving up, signing the house over, letting Derek win, walking away with nothing. Maybe I could rent a small apartment somewhere, live on Social Security, disappear. But where would I go? Who would I be without this house, without these memories, without my dignity? Someone knocked on the door. Hard, urgent knocking. I almost didn't answer, couldn't imagine who it would be. Everyone I knew had turned against me. The knocking continued. I finally stood, walked to the door, opened it. Stephanie stood on my porch. Jennifer's college roommate. Her best friend from years ago. I hadn't seen Stephanie in over a year, maybe longer. She was 32 now, worked as a nurse at the county hospital. Always been a good friend to Jennifer. She looked nervous, kept glancing over her shoulder at the street. "Mr. Sullivan, can I come in? I need to talk to you. It's important." I stepped aside. She hurried in, and I closed the door. "Stephanie, what's going on?" She went to the window, peered through the curtains, then turned to me. "I heard what happened. The lawsuit, the Father's Day thing. Word travels in a small town. Then you know I'm a terrible father and a thief." "I know that's what Derek is saying." She paused, seemed to gather courage. "Mr. Sullivan, Jennifer can never know I came here. If Derek finds out, I don't know what he'll do. But I had to tell someone. I've been so worried, and I think you might be the only person who can help." My exhaustion lifted slightly. Help with what? Jennifer is terrified of Derek. The marriage isn't what it looks like. He's controlling, manipulative, maybe worse. Jennifer has changed completely in the past 2 years. She's not the same person. I sat down heavily. "Tell me everything." Stephanie paced as she talked. "It started about 6 months after the wedding. Jennifer called me crying, said she'd made a terrible mistake marrying Derek, that he wasn't who she thought he was. She said he monitored her phone, controlled their money, told her who she could see and when. She wanted to leave him. Why didn't she? She said Derek had insurance, something that would destroy her if she tried to divorce him. I asked what she meant. She wouldn't say, just cried and said she was trapped. When was this? About a year ago. Then she stopped calling me, stopped answering my calls. I tried to visit, but Derek always made excuses. Last time I saw her was at the grocery store about 6 months ago. She looked thin, nervous. She hugged me, whispered that she missed me. Then Derek showed up and she went quiet. "The Father's Day thing," I said. "The humiliation. Was that Derek's idea?" Stephanie nodded. Jennifer called me 2 days later. She was sobbing. Said Derek had forced her to go along with it. That she didn't want to hurt you, but Derek said if she didn't do exactly what he told her, he'd make sure you ended up in prison or worse. Jennifer has been crying ever since, but Derek watches her constantly. Hope and horror mixed in my chest. "Why are you telling me this now?" Stephanie reached into her purse and pulled out a USB drive. Small, black, innocuous. Jennifer gave me this a year ago, made me promise to keep it safe. She said if anything ever happened to her, this proves everything. I've never looked at what's on it. I was too afraid. But I think Jennifer is in danger, Mr. Sullivan. And I think you might be the only person who can help her." She placed the USB drive in my hand. "Be careful. Derek is dangerous. More dangerous than you know." She left quickly, slipping out into the darkness. I stood there holding the drive, hands shaking. Went to my computer, inserted it. The drive contained folders, financial documents, screenshots, photos, video files. I opened the first folder, financial records, bank statements showing transfers. But these weren't my statements. These were Derek's, from before he married Jennifer. I scrolled through them, my eyes widening. Large deposits from someone named Patricia Gaines, dated 3 years ago, followed by a series of withdrawals labeled property settlement. I opened a web browser, searched Patricia Gaines, found an obituary, died 2 years ago. Survived by her father, Richard Gaines, who had passed away 1 year before her from an apparent suicide. The obituary mentioned Patricia had been married to a Derek Morrison. They'd divorced 2 years before her death. I searched Richard Gaines, found news articles. Wealthy businessman. Died shortly after losing a lawsuit filed by his former son-in-law over unpaid loans. The lawsuit claimed Richard owed Derek over $100,000. Richard maintained the loans were fabricated but lost the case. He killed himself 3 weeks later. Patricia died the next year in a car accident, single-vehicle crash, ruled accidental. My blood ran cold. I opened the next folder, more financial records. Another woman, Angela Torres. Married to Derek 4 years ago, divorced 3 years ago. Angela's father, Joseph Torres, died in a fall down the stairs shortly after Derek sued him for $60,000 in unpaid loans. The case was settled out of court. Angela died 6 months later from an overdose, ruled accidental. Derek had done this before. Twice. Married women with wealthy fathers, gained access to their finances, framed the fathers for owing money, sued them, destroyed them. Both fathers died. Both wives died shortly after. And now he'd married Jennifer, and I was his next target. I opened the screenshot folder. Text messages between Derek and someone named Marcus, planning the scam. Discussing how to access my accounts, how to forge documents, how to build the false narrative about gambling. Marcus was apparently the one who'd taken photos of someone who looked like me at the casino. Then I opened the video files. The first video showed Jennifer and Derek in their living room. The camera was hidden, angled from a bookshelf. Jennifer was crying. Derek was calm, cold. "You're going to do exactly what I say," Derek's voice said, "or your father dies. I've done it before. I'll do it again. Make it look like suicide. Just like Richard. Just like Joseph. And then you'll have an accident too, just like Patricia and Angela. Unless you play along." Jennifer sobbed. "Why are you doing this?" "Because your father has money, and I want it. Simple as that. You play the dutiful wife. You support me in court. You turn everyone against him. And when I have everything, maybe I'll let you live. Maybe." The video ended. There were 3 more videos, all showing Derek threatening Jennifer, admitting to the previous murders, describing in detail how he'd forged documents, stolen from me, planned to frame me. Jennifer hadn't betrayed me. She'd been trying to protect me. Going along with Derek's plan, hoping I'd just leave town, sell the house, disappear somewhere Derek couldn't find me. But I hadn't disappeared, and now we were both in danger. I copied everything on the USB drive to 3 different locations: cloud storage, external hard drive, emailed copies to myself. Derek might be clever, but he'd underestimated Jennifer. She documented everything. I had the proof. I had the truth. But the court date was in 9 days. I was still financially destroyed, still physically weak from the heart attack, still alone. And Derek was a murderer who would kill us both if he discovered what I knew. I spent the next morning making copies of everything, burned DVDs, made printouts, hid copies in different locations. My house, my truck, Thomas's fishing cabin at the lake, where I knew where he kept the spare key. Then I went to the county legal aid office. The office was in an old building downtown, cramped and understaffed. The waiting room smelled like old carpet and had chairs that probably came from a thrift store. But the young attorney who met with me, Rachel Torres, had sharp eyes and didn't waste time. I showed her everything: the USB drive, the videos, the financial records, the evidence of Derek's previous crimes. Rachel watched the videos twice, read through the documents. Her jaw tightened. This is explosive. We can file a countersuit, get criminal charges filed against him. This shows fraud, extortion, possibly murder. Can we stop the lawsuit? Absolutely. With this evidence, we can get it dismissed. But there's a problem. What? We need to prove these files are authentic, haven't been tampered with. Defense will claim you created them, faked them. We need Jennifer to testify, to confirm Derek said these things, to verify the videos are real. My heart sank. Jennifer won't testify. She's too afraid. Then we need Derek to incriminate himself again, on record, with proper documentation. How? Rachel leaned back, thinking. You could wear a wire, meet with him, get him to admit everything. Pennsylvania is a one-party consent state. If you're part of the conversation, you can legally record it. He'll never admit anything to me. He might if he thinks he's won. If he thinks you're beaten and ready to surrender, it was risky. Derek was dangerous. I was still weak from the heart attack, but it might be our only chance. I'll do it. Rachel set it up, got me a recording device, small enough to hide under my shirt, taught me how to use it. Then I called Derek. He answered on the second ring. Edgar, I was wondering when you'd finally see reason. I want to meet. Talk about settling this. Smart man. When and where? Tomorrow, noon. The diner on Main Street, public place. Don't trust me alone? He laughed. Fine. See you then. I arrived at the diner 30 minutes early. The recording device was taped to my chest, hidden under a button-down shirt and light jacket. Rachel had filed the necessary paperwork with the court, notified the police of what I was doing. Officers would be nearby, ready to move in if needed. The diner was busy, lunch crowd filling the red vinyl booths. Smelled like coffee and bacon grease. The same diner where I'd brought Jennifer for milkshakes as a kid. The familiarity hurt. Derek walked in at exactly noon, confident, smiling, sat across from me in a booth by the window. Edgar, you look terrible. Heart attack really did a number on you. Let's get to it. What do you want from me? Simple. Sign over the house. I drop the lawsuit. We go our separate ways. And the criminal charges? What criminal charges? He grinned. Oh, those. Well, if you cooperate, maybe those go away too. You've stolen everything from me. My savings, my retirement, Jennifer. Why the house too? Derek leaned back, casual. Because I can. Because you're weak. Because men like you deserve to lose everything. Men like me. Pathetic, working your whole life for nothing. Living in that tiny house. Driving that old truck. I saw you the first time Jennifer brought me home to meet you. I knew immediately you were sitting on money. The land sale, the paid-off house, all that retirement savings. Just waiting for someone smart enough to take it. So, you married Jennifer to get to me. I married Jennifer because she was the easiest mark I've seen in years. Desperate for love after Mommy died. Daddy issues. She practically threw herself at me. And once I had her, I had access to everything. My hands clenched under the table. The recorder was getting all of this. You've done this before. Patricia Gaines, Angela Torres. Derek's smile faltered for just a second. Where did you hear those names? I did some research. Found out about your previous wives, about their fathers, Richard and Joseph. Ancient history. They both died. So did your wives. Derek's face hardened. Accidents happen. Convenient accidents. He leaned forward, voice dropping. Listen carefully, old man. You're going to sign those papers today, because Jennifer is at home right now, alone. I have associates watching the house. If you don't cooperate, there will be an accident. Jennifer might fall down the stairs. She might take too many pills. She might do any number of tragic things, and you'll be blamed. After all, you've been unstable, threatening, dangerous. The recorder captured every word. You'll kill your own wife? If necessary. Though I'd prefer not to. She's useful. But if she becomes a liability, well, I've done it before. You're admitting you killed Patricia and Angela. Derek smiled coldly. I'm not admitting anything that could be proven. This is just a conversation between two men. Your word against mine. And we both know whose word people believe." He slid papers across the table. "The deed transfer, already prepared. Sign it, now, or Jennifer pays the price." My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I glanced at it. "Don't sign. I'm safe. Rachel got me out. Police are coming. Keep him talking." Jennifer. Rachel had moved fast. While I was meeting Derek, she'd sent officers to the house. They'd removed Jennifer, citing the evidence on the USB drive showing threats against her. Derek didn't know yet. I looked up at Derek. "No." His face went red. "What did you say?" I said, "No. I'm not signing anything." "It's over, Derek. The police have everything. Jennifer is safe. You're finished." Derek's eyes went wide. He realized he'd been trapped. Then his face transformed from shock to pure rage. He lunged across the table at me. My heart couldn't take it. The stress, the shock, the physical confrontation. Pain exploded in my chest again, white-hot and crushing. I fell back against the booth, clutching my chest, unable to breathe. Derek realized what was happening and ran, bolted out of the diner. People screamed. Someone called 911. The waitress, a young woman named Katie, ran over. Sir, are you okay?" My vision blurred. The pain was overwhelming, but through the haze, I was smiling faintly. The recorder had everything. Jennifer was safe. Derek was exposed. Sirens approached. Police. Ambulance. The sounds mixed together. I heard someone shout, "Stop! Police!" More chaos. Then Rachel's face appeared above me. "Edgar, stay with me. Paramedics are here." "Did you get it all?" I managed to whisper. Every word. The recording transmitted live to our office. "We have everything." "Jennifer? She's safe. Officers have her. She's asking about you." The world faded. I let go, drifting into darkness, knowing I'd done it. I'd saved her. I'd won. I woke up in a hospital room, brighter than before, cleaner. Private room this time. A soft voice beside me. "Dad?" I turned my head. Jennifer sat in a chair next to my bed, holding my hand. Her face was streaked with tears, exhausted, but her eyes were different now, clear, free. "Jennifer." She squeezed my hand, sobbing. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." "How long?" 5 days. You had surgery. Dr. Brennan put in 2 stents. He says you'll be okay. You have to take it easy, but you'll recover." The memories came back. The diner. Derek's confession. The recording. Derek? Arrested. They caught him trying to leave town. The recording had everything. And once they had him in custody, I gave a full statement. Told them everything. About the threats, the abuse. How he forced me to go along with the Father's Day thing. Everything. The USB drive? I made it 6 months ago when I first realized what Derek really was. I found his old financial records, researched his previous marriages, found evidence he'd killed their fathers, probably killed them too. I confronted him, and that's when he started threatening me. Said he'd kill you if I didn't cooperate. I believed him. I've been so scared, Dad. I thought if I went along with his plan, satisfied him enough, he'd take the money and disappear. Leave you alive. You were trying to protect me. She nodded, tears flowing. I thought if you just moved away, sold the house, went somewhere he couldn't find you, you'd be safe. But you wouldn't give up. You kept fighting. And I was so afraid he'd kill you. He almost did. The police have everything now. The videos, the financial records. They've connected him to the deaths of Richard Gaines and Joseph Torres. They found evidence he hired someone to tamper with Patricia's car brakes. They're building a murder case. He's going to prison forever. And you? Are you okay? She shook her head. No, but I will be. I'm in therapy. Processing everything. The abuse. The control. How completely I lost myself. How I became someone I didn't recognize. You were brave. You documented everything. I should have been braver. Should have left him. Gone to the police earlier. He threatened to kill me. You did what you thought you had to do. I hurt you. On Father's Day. I'll never forget the look on your face. Derek hurt me. You were his prisoner. We sat in silence for a moment, just holding hands. Dad, I'm filing for divorce. And the financial stuff, Derek's assets are being seized. All the money he stole from you, from his previous victims, it's being recovered. The lawsuit is dismissed. The home equity loan is being voided as fraudulent. You'll get everything back. And the house? Safe. The foreclosure is stopped. You'll keep your home. Relief washed over me. What about the people who turned against me? Calvin, Thomas, Helen. Jennifer winced. They all know the truth now. They're horrified. Calvin called me yesterday crying. He wants to apologize to you. Thomas, too. They believe Derek's lies. And they're devastated. I'll forgive them. Eventually. They're good people who were manipulated by an expert liar. Derek was good at it. I believed his charm at first, too. Over the next few weeks, I recovered at home. Jennifer stayed with me, sleeping in her old childhood bedroom. We cooked together, worked in Susan's garden, sat on the porch in the evenings talking. We talked about Susan, about the years after she died, about things left unsaid. Jennifer told me she'd always felt guilty that I'd worked so much. Thought maybe I was avoiding being home because he reminded me of losing Susan. I told her the truth. I worked to give her opportunities, to make sure she had everything she needed. Not because I was avoiding her, but because I loved her. We slowly rebuilt what Derek had tried to destroy. Calvin came over one afternoon, hat in hand, apologizing. We sat on the porch, and he cried as he told me how sorry he was for doubting me. I forgave him. Thomas came next, bringing a 6-pack of root beer like we used to drink when we went fishing. We talked until sunset. He was my best friend. That didn't change. Helen baked me a pie and left it on my doorstep with a note. I forgave her, too. The legal process moved forward. Derek's trial was fast. The evidence was overwhelming. The recording from the diner. Jennifer's testimony. The USB drive contents. Financial experts traced his pattern of fraud across 3 marriages. He was convicted on multiple counts. Fraud, extortion. 2 counts of first-degree murder for Richard and Joseph. 2 counts of second-degree murder for Patricia and Angela. The sentence was life in prison without possibility of parole. Federal charges might add more time. Jennifer and I both gave victim impact statements at sentencing. I spoke about trust, about family, about the damage done when someone weaponizes love and loyalty. The judge commended us for our courage. As I stood there watching Derek in his orange jumpsuit, hands cuffed, being led away, I felt something I hadn't expected. Not joy, not satisfaction, just relief. And sadness for the lives he'd destroyed. But also gratitude. Because Jennifer and I had survived. We'd found our way back to each other. Months passed. Fall arrived, painting the trees gold and red. Jennifer moved back into her own apartment, ready to rebuild her independence. But she visited often. We had dinner every week. She was healing, becoming herself again. One evening, sitting on my porch watching the sunset, I thought about everything I'd learned. About how evil can wear a charming mask. About how love can be twisted into a weapon. About how family bonds can be tested, bent, nearly broken, but still repaired if both people are willing to try. I thought about trust. How I'd taught Jennifer to see the good in people, and how Derek had exploited that. But I wouldn't let him change that lesson. Yes, some people are predators. But most people are good. Most people are worth trusting. The trick is learning to see the difference. I thought about forgiveness. How Jennifer needed to forgive herself as much as I needed to forgive her. How Calvin and Thomas needed to forgive themselves. How healing required letting go of anger, even when anger felt justified. I thought about persistence. How I'd almost given up, almost signed those papers. Almost let Derek win. But something in me refused to surrender. Maybe it was stubbornness. Maybe it was love for Jennifer. Maybe it was just the knowledge that Susan would have wanted me to fight. Whatever it was, it saved us both. It was Father's Day again. 1 year later, I stood in my backyard, manning the grill, cooking burgers and hot dogs. The smell of charcoal smoke mixed with the scent of roses from Susan's garden. Jennifer was there with her new boyfriend, Brian. He was a middle school teacher, kind and patient, nothing like Derek. I'd met him twice before. Liked him, but I was cautious now. I watched how he treated Jennifer, how he listened when she talked, how he respected her boundaries. So far, he seemed genuine. Calvin and Amy were there with their kids. Thomas and his grandchildren. Helen from next door. Stephanie, who'd bravely brought me the USB drive. Rachel, the legal aid attorney who'd helped save us. Even Dr. Brennan stopped by for a burger. We were celebrating. Not just Father's Day, but survival. Second chances. Family restored. Jennifer handed me a wrapped gift. I opened it carefully. Inside was a framed photograph of Susan and me from 30 years ago. We were young, standing in front of our house, arms around each other, smiling at the camera. The photo had been in storage, damaged, but Jennifer had it professionally restored. "I found it last month," she said. "Wanted you to have it. A reminder of the love that built this family." I couldn't speak for a moment. Just held the frame, looking at Susan's face, remembering. "Thank you," I finally managed. Jennifer hugged me. "I love you, Dad. Happy Father's Day." This time, there was no humiliation. No plastic plate on the floor. Just family, love, a hard-won peace. I looked around at everyone gathered in my backyard. At the home I'd nearly lost. At the daughter I'd nearly lost. At the life Derek had tried to destroy but couldn't. We'd survived, and that was worth celebrating. As the sun set and fireflies began to glow in the garden, I felt truly grateful. For the fight I'd fought. For the truth that had prevailed. For the second chance we'd been given. For the knowledge that even in the darkest moments, when everything seems lost, hope can still survive. Derek had tried to teach Jennifer that family didn't matter. That love was a weakness to exploit. That trust was foolish. But we'd proven him wrong. Family matters. Love is strength. Trust, carefully given, is what makes us human. And in the end, those lessons are worth more than any amount of money Derek could have stolen. I raised my glass of lemonade. To family, to second chances, to the truth. Everyone raised their glasses and echoed the toast. Jennifer squeezed my hand, and I was home. Now I want to ask you something. Have you ever faced a situation where someone you trusted betrayed you? Where you had to fight to prove the truth when everyone believed lies? How did you handle it? What helped you get through? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else who's going through something similar. If this story moved you, if it reminded you of the importance of family and truth, please hit that like button. Subscribe to hear more stories about real people facing real challenges and finding the courage to overcome them. And share this with someone who needs to hear that even in the darkest times, there's always hope for justice and healing. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it gave you something to think about. Remember, no matter how bad things seem, no matter how alone you feel, the truth has power. Love has power. And you're stronger than you know. Take care of yourselves and each other.